So, welcome to the PAC's podcast on the 17th September 2020. I'm Tristan. I'm here with Nick and Lawrence, my co-hosts, and we're welcoming to our show Patrick Dawes, who has been a member of many amazing and distinguished acts, the most notable of which is Groove Armada, and you also have many of your own side projects. So, welcome on board, Patrick. How's it going?
Hi. Good to see you.
Yeah, hey, likewise.
So do you guys have any questions before we start with the main questions, or should we just start? Or?
Well, I'm going to firstly ask the traditional question of COVID. We're going to keep it short, but Patrick has experienced some COVID infection.
Oh, right.
Oh, dear. What
Yeah,
happened?
it's true. I get people, I tell them the story and they say, what, you mean you really had it? You mean it's not, you're quite rare. I haven't met any people who've had it. And what I mean is somebody who's really had it. I ended up in hospital for 7 days. I needed a bit of oxygen. So that was the main reason, because I had low blood oxidization. And my wife got it really bad. She got it worse than me, but she didn't need the hospital because she didn't need the same thing. And she's still got it after 5 months. It's still in her system. I went to see my osteopath, and he was telling me that it's still in her system and it's gone out of mine, but it takes absolutely ages to go if it hits you really bad. And it did hit me really bad. And I must admit, I wasn't having the most easy time around the time. I wasn't giving myself the best health opportunities to take it on. So when it did hit me pretty hard. And but they have got some vaccines now. There's one in China apparently. My osteopath told me that they're vaccinating the military. They're vaccinating the medical people and also the top businessmen. So it is getting there, but it's taking its time.
There's a Russian one as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a Russian vaccination apparently that's going around. I'm not sure where that came from. It possibly came from China. I'm not really sure. They're obviously everyone wants to have their own vaccination because that's how they make the most money out of it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, it's nothing really changes. It's business as usual,
Yeah.
So, music-wise, Patrick, let's talk about your illustrious career.
Sure.
Right. I would never have used the word illustrious myself. I love the idea.
I've actually got a question. So the first one I was going to ask you was, has the lockdown earlier in the year, did that affect anything you were doing gig-wise this year?
Oh, everything. Well, all gigs, a lot. There was some desperate attempts from some guy that I do some wedding stuff with, and kept booking me for like August, September. They're sort of slowly disappearing, but I knew they would anyway. My main work in Mayfair, I do this bar down there. It's quite a happening bar and stuff, but that's all gone very quiet. No, I mean it's shot that side of the industry out, live stuff. And I've been doing some sessions for some bands and things that I've been working for in my studio a bit more. Ooh. But yeah, it's not very easy. I can honestly say there's a sense of loneliness for me at the moment. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining because,
a big part of what we do is we want to alleviate that. We want to really help all artists to feel connected and to be able to, perform their work and express themselves. It's really important, I think, to be aware of how things like a pandemic do affect the arts industry. And it's been really bad for me, my mental health, is seeing what happens to the arts makes me feel quite down. You know what I mean? It's hard, but we have to get through it together, don't we? That's what we're here for.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, it's quite surreal because summer's usually very busy, isn't it, for a musician?
Yeah,
there's a lot of gigs.
Yeah. The summer was in many ways that was the strangest, particularly for percussion because it's it works better in hot weather.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm a percussionist as well. So do you specialise in a certain spur?
Well, mostly I guess congas, bongos.
Yes.
South American percussion, but I've learned lots of different tricks over the years. We're very eclectic in England, so yeah.
Well, some of us, like people like us, yeah, definitely.
So is things that you can hit? Are you do you play a drum kit as well? Or?
I did. I started on drums actually,
Cool.
but I was always more keen on the improvise and sort of playing the offbeats. It's just the way I am. I like to get a bit of a nuisance. I like to sort of do all the things that are in between, shake people up a bit. But then I like driving it as well. The percussionist does a lot of things, actually.
Yeah,
Nick and
sound effects as well as
sound effects. It's like a sort of extra, and I'm being sort of not that. What would you call me? Not that focused. I like the randomness, and I like experimenting and playing around. The drummers, the best drummers I've worked with, they're just locked in, groovy, and they teach me to do that as well, and I love doing that as well.
Yeah.
Well, you mean,
but if they're not there, I'm like all over the shop. You know what I mean? So
do you mean like you mean like experimenting, but also you like to stick to a groove, but you like to experiment within that? I guess is that kind of what?
Yeah, I mean it's so multiple. It's ridiculous. There's no
depending on what's happening.
Yeah, that's half my problem sometimes. I don't know how to rein it in.
Well, you've got a lot of different.
That's what drummers are like sometimes.
And you've got a lot of different projects. I looked at one of your page online. You've got many different projects, and I listened to pretty much all of them. And me and Nick actually watched a live video of Groove Armada, where they had like guitarists and bassists. So it was like rock.
Yeah.
And it was I think it was the one. It was in 2000 what was it?
2009 Montreux, I think.
Yeah, that's right. In France.
I don't think. I think it would have been earlier than that.
No, it must have been because
it was way early. I think the Montreux one was the early band.
Oh, no,
it was. You were definitely in it.
It was with my friend Andy on drums.
2001.
That was an early version of the live band, the one in Montreux. It was a really good version. It was like a jazz funk band we were back then. It was before they changed. Had to get more, more into the dance music, I remember that. The bass player did a slap solo, which and I remember the reviews at the time were sort of saying, "Oh, it's all a bit dodgy," and then the bass player comes out and he does a slap solo, that kind of thing. But we love that, but it was not trendy. We had to go with the trends, so it changed.
That's interesting.
But sure, this is the one thing. Well, I mean, this kind of is the same question, but like one of my questions was that from exploring all your music, it seems that you're into a lot of different projects. It's quite an eclectic mix,
Loads of different styles, yeah.
So do you feel there's like one area of music where you want to like, I guess, progress what you do or evolve to a different level? Like, I don't know, or to, enhance the sound in some way? Or what?
Well, there's two main areas for me, and they both could be considered self-indulgent, although, self-expression, whatever you like. No. One is like free-form playing with other percussionists to create something, it's really organic and changing and so forth, because I just find the excitement of that incredible. And then also percussion music, where I put layers and layers of percussion on, stuff like that. But those are the projects I do on my own, and they're always, exciting for me. But when it comes down to it, I like to be part of a band, and a band will rein me in and say, this is what it's about, and I'll know what it's about. And that's probably better, to be fair.
With Groove Armada, are you involved in the songwriting process?
Not so much. I played a few sessions for them. It was mostly, you had three percussionist drummers in Groove Armada. You had the soundtrack running behind.
Yeah.
You had the drummer, and then I would come after that. So the drummer would tend to work with the backing tape.
Yeah.
And I would tend to work with the two of them afterwards, and with the drummer flowing. The backing tape is there, so it gave this sort of three things going on, as opposed to just a lot of bands. It's just the drummer following the backing tape, and then it's going to be slightly, you have three things that create all sorts of different possibilities by having the extra percussion. And it's amazing the bands are not doing this. They're not seeing what percussionists can do, and the excitement and the sort of live possibilities that come from that.
Because Tristan and I watched it on Monday night, and it was exhilarating. Actually, to see a band of that.
That's what the exhilaration is. It's there's a sense of improvisation and a sense of connection, but having more than one person following a backbeat. It's almost like fighting, and that person cannot react. The backing tape cannot react.
So, how long did you actually play with Groove Armada?
I played with them for 9 years, 9 full years.
Excellent.
Touring around the world.
Touring around the world. We went to loads
albums.
of different places. A lot of them in my head, to be honest. And
Really just went to Birmingham and back.
Rock and roll.
Hedonism, they call
This
that.
is
They
rock
call
and
that
roll
hedonism,
for ya.
It's
Do you
all
have
a little bit embarrassing in retrospect.
Do you have a favourite place that you've been to play?
Favourite thing to play?
Favourite place that you went?
Favourite place? I think I like the UK the most. And we used to do tours up and down UK, and I just loved seeing the UK in Leeds and Manchester and going up to Scotland and
You did the North.
because that was I enjoyed playing that the most, because it was you think you know it but you don't. You can go off somewhere else miles away, and that's exciting too, don't get me wrong.
They did Australia and New Zealand and
just hanging around the British Isles,
South America and all and Europe.
So you went pretty global then.
Yeah.
Good man.
They were massive.
Mm.
But prior to that, he was in a band called Herbaliser.
Yeah, the Herbaliser. I started out in the early 90s, and they were a sort of hip-hop band, quite instrumental bass, so it was very funky. It was sort of soundtrack sort of vibe as well. And I just rejoined them after 18 years. So I worked with them from 95 to 2000, and then I rejoined them in 2018 after 18 years. So we'd all gone from the age of 30 to 48. And it was amazing how well I got on with them. They were having problems more than me, because I left. So I was like, all the issues from before had been dumped. So I was in a lucky position, whereas they still, I can imagine how it would be, right? So I had a fantastic time, and managed to get on with everyone really well, and even sort out a few disputes, I think.
Hey, yeah, that's cool, man.
Next time I see him, I'll just be like, oh, it's not him again. But, it was nice for a while.
That's cool, man. That's what it's all about.
So a band is like a relationship, isn't it?
Yeah. That last bit I told you, that says quite a lot, about bands.
If you
we love each other, but we don't want to see each other too much.
Yeah.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
So on that note, what is your main artistic project right now at the moment? What are you focusing on?
At the moment, because it's lockdown. Well, it's not lockdown, but because I can't do any gigs, so it's lockdown for me.
Yeah.
I'm doing stuff in the studio. I'm finishing off things that I've already started, and I'm trying to do some new stuff. But it's quite difficult. Would you
like to elaborate on those things for us?
Two woven entity.
Is that it? Or is that?
Well, this is a record I did with my friend Lascelles, he started the Brand New Heavies.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's one of the first bands that I saw when I was a student. I went to see the Brand New Heavies, and Lascelles was there playing cornerstone. And little did I know that years later I'd be working with him. And it's absolutely unbelievable percussionist. A little bit different to me, but very advanced, very soulful bloke. Really disciplined in a way that I'm not in some ways. And we worked together as a trio. It's him with myself and a guy called Paul May, who's an improvised drummer. And we managed to do really well with that. We got an album out on Babel, the jazz label, and we self-released the second one. We got some very good reviews and all that. But it's a small area. It's very niche. But I'm very proud of it.
And I've got it on vinyl. He's given me a little a goodie bag. If you like, a goodie bag of his stuff he's done, and I'm so excited to actually listen to it.
Can I have a goodie bag?
Huh?
I said, can I have
Of course. Yes, I could sort you one out too. absolutely.
Thanks, Patrick.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love one too. That'd be great.
So how,
No,
No problem. No problem. I'm going to.
See,
Yeah.
the whole
I can burn them copies of that.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
So how long have you been playing percussion for then, Patrick?
I started on drum kit when I was 8, and
cool.
I moved to percussion when I was about 15, and I'm 50 now, so 35 years for percussion. But really, drums, percussion, since I was 8, 42 years. It's a long time.
Yeah. And I know, as a percussionist myself, I like to get quite creative and weird with it. You can get sounds out of anything, yeah. So.
Oh, you absolutely can. I mean, there's absolutely no rule. You know, it's sometimes the sounds are a bit harsh or they're a bit this.
Yeah.
They don't have a great definition. But so there is a sort of an art to that as well. But in fundamental point, you can get sound out of anything.
That's right.
Everything is percussion. Everything is drums.
Yeah, you can hear anything.
Even if it's not the drum beats, the air.
Yeah.
And that could have been emanated from something. I mean, it's all sound.
Yeah.
It's all percussion. You know.
So I'm gonna play with
That's just air.
a Shaw underarm deodorant on a cup.
He's giving me the best opportunity to express my skills.
So you know what, and this is
This and maybe this as well. Have you seen this?
percussion is probably.
That's amazing.
Percussion is probably the oldest form of instrument, if you think about it. Percussion is probably the oldest form of instrument because.
Just imagine a caveman whacking a bone on a rock.
A caveman would have been picking up pterodactyl and brontosaurus bones and making xylophones
Heartbeat.
Well, then
and all that sort of stuff.
dinosaurs, but whatever, mammoths, whatever you want to.
But the bone.
Neanderthals would have been picking up.
Oh, the bones actually, yeah.
So my question, Patrick, was going to be, what's the weirdest type of percussion instrument or object you've used in the studio?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Well, I got into turkey baster. And it's just like one of them. So, it's a turkey baster. Or it doesn't have to be turkey, but any meat baster where you squeeze the juices of the meat up and spread it back over the. Very vegetarians, you probably don't like the sound of this very much, but it keeps the meat, succulent and gets the old topping all crispy and all the rest of it. Anyone who wants to cook a bird properly, you've got to love a bird, as my mum says. You've got to tender it with the turkey baster and all the rest of it. But as an instrument, you fill it up with water and then you blow it, and you can create the most amazing sound and rhythms and melodies.
Drum and bass stuff. That's a great gag.
Yeah.
Drum and bass stuff.
Drum and basser.
Yeah.
Drum and basser.
Yeah, we've got a niche market. Me and you are going to be big.
You just get the turkey fat.
Yeah. Indeed.
I'll bring the bass stuff. Yeah.
No, it is interesting. Well, people often don't think outside the box, like using unconventional ways of creating new sounds. That is kind of what I guess electronic music is often about, which I guess a lot of your background is, right? Electronic comes back a lot.
Well, percussionists are always trying to do that because you're in a position where you're not a drummer, which is like you've got to set, and it really works and it holds the whole band together. You're the guy doing the noises. I mean, you start with some particular percussion instruments that are solid and they do their job, bongos, congas, or glockenspiel, depends what area in classical music, whatever. But then you're always looking for interesting sounds to work with, and it can be anything, Yeah,
that's why I asked. Yeah, I was interested.
It can be anything.
So
that's exciting. That's what I liked about percussion, I think, in a way.
Because you can actually be at a party around someone's house and you've got a spoon and a couple of bottles half a coconut, and you're making a sound. And this is because my dad, obviously, he was a percussionist and drummer, but he would quite often do that in restaurants or wherever he was. He'd just start tapping on something and pick up a spoon and start hitting a bowl and a wine glass, and all of a sudden he'd be creating something because
people love that. I love that restaurant glass thing. I've been in many situations. People always talk about, "Oh, do you remember that time?" You know, to me, it's like, well, it's obvious, but then you know,
So do you have a kind of percussion, even when you're not playing, running through your head as you're walking along?
When I walk down the street, I spend a lot of times with little grooves in my head. And
yeah, brilliant. Okay, I kind of
you do that. You do get lost in it sometimes. I used to tap a lot. And annoy people. I don't do that anymore. I just keep it up there.
That's what you
so
get.
I might be ignoring you. My wife's like talking to me, and she's like, "He's not there, is he?"
But you're kind of, I'm like that as well.
I think we're all like that.
That's
my one.
I learned to play the drums when I was a kid. Me and my two brothers, younger brothers. My dad was obviously a drummer and percussionist, so we had a drum kit in the garage, and he taught us all to play drums. And the first band I ever played in, I was a drummer. It wasn't something I wanted to get into as much as I loved it, and you know, to see my dad play and all.
Yeah.
My mum was a guitar teacher, so we had guitars around there. It was a lot easier for me to sit in my bedroom playing guitar than it was to sit in the garage making a lot of noise and annoying the neighbours. But actually,
I like the idea of annoying the neighbours.
Yeah. They love you, but actually, I do love the whole percussion thing because what I experienced, and I know from a lot of dance music and stuff, and I'm going back to Herbaliser and Groove Armada, of course, is that when that percussion kicks in, it creates a whole different landscape of sound when you have all those bongos and stuff and shakers coming on.
Yeah, it's like
chimes.
When it's doing its best job in certain types of track, it's really pushing things forward, isn't it? It's a real motion. I found myself like a percussion dance where you're just like, you know, in Groove Armada particularly, it was just whoosh, you know, really pushing the groove out, finding that space. And other times you're like holding back. You know, percussion can be like holding it back, keeping it like that, you know. And other times you're just creating some interesting sound effects. So you're more like that.
Yeah, because you don't have to.
It's so percussion is exciting because of the different things you can do to build and make something better. You know, and sometimes you don't feel like there's anything.
Be very
and I actually will shut up. Shut up.
I actually wanted to ask something I never thought for the benefit of the lay audience. Actually, could you define the difference between being a percussionist and being a drummer? Actually, there always is a difference.
I think the drummer holds the whole band together. And the percussionist attempts to try to trip people up.
Yeah.
Vibrate, keep it unusual, do an offbeat, do this, do that. No, but then a lot of the time, actually, a well-behaved percussionist will just work with the drummer and do the groove.
Yeah,
there's all sorts. They're mischievous characters, so they can be a pain in the arse. But usually, if they get it right, they're better there than not. I think. And I think they're missing in music at the moment, in live music. I really, really do.
Me too. I think it always adds something different.
Yeah, and I don't like misbehave because I'm going to work for a proper band. You've got to do a proper gig. We've got, I'll work out what works. Do
you think that technology has with people playing with backing tracks?
I think percussion can be played with and have fun with so much in recorded music that you don't need them. You can make the drums, you can make the percussion sound live. There's so many different tools to do. But when it's live, you see the person doing it,
and it's more fun. It's
visual.
I love it.
And it's pushing air in actually at the moment. It's happening, and you can't really get away from that.
No,
because everything's becoming, what was predetermined, if shall we say.
around the stage a bit more, because the drummer's sat on the kit and has to, be sat down.
So
Percussionists can sort of jump around,
guys,
do a bit more movement.
I missed the end of what you said. You saying everything's gone a bit. What were you saying about something had changed? So the thing you said just before Lawrence started talking, so I missed the end. Repeat that.
Yeah, sorry. Say again.
I've got to let the dog out.
Said something you were saying.
No, the dog's fine. No, don't let the dog out. Say let the dog out. The dog's great. He just did a little bark.
Who let the dogs out?
All right, guys. So
dog's really helping me at this point, I think.
You were saying something, and then because it's okay. I'm talking. It's okay, but I missed what you said. You were saying something. We've got technology, and you said that everything has become something. What was it you were saying?
Predetermined.
Okay.
So if you put it all into a box and you spit it out, it's predetermined.
Right.
You mean technology, the way it works with music?
Well, I mean, you
like a DJ.
Somebody predetermines it. It's not that that's a problem.
Oh,
it's all about balance.
Oh, it's missing It's missing the naturalness of like a
naturalness. It could be something just very flowing that it's not trying to pull a rug, or it could be something that's trying to pull a rug. That's why I said there's all the different opportunities that percussion can provide.
Yeah. You must be quite jazz influenced then too, because jazz is all about.
Yeah, jazz does. Yeah, I'm jazz influenced. I'm soul, funk. It's all the different things that percussion can do with all those different types of music. We're very eclectic in England. We listen to loads of stuff from all over the world, and maybe we're a little bit forgery-like sometimes. We're creating forgeries of styles that we're not truly authentic to.
Do you improvise?
But at least we're enthusiastic, and I just think there's a lack of enthusiasm if everything's done predetermined.
Well,
enthusiasm comes from possibility and change, and I mean, so what if I hit the drum and it was completely out of time? That could be in time in another way. It depends what you do afterwards. Do you make it in time? Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Do you improvise then sometimes during performances, or quite a lot?
I would tend to, with Groove Armada, the beats are very cool, very moving, very grooving beats, and so you'd flow with it, and I would shake and a thing, and I would just get into a trance and thing. But then I do the other projects, and I like to improvise, and it's some of it doesn't work so well. So if I do an improvise, go into the studio and I play 20 minutes on some piece, I might edit it down to about 6 minutes or something, because some of it would be, fumbling, and we don't, but we'd find something. So that's another thing I do. I'll go into the studio with some musicians, we play for a long period of time, and then I edit it. Usually forward editing. So I wouldn't take something from there and bring it back to there. It would still be, and it works really well, in my opinion. But
so
it's not.
Okay, sorry, go on. It's not.
Well, it's not for everyone. Yeah.
So my next question was because I watched the video you did with Eugene Bedosis.
Yes, this is another style.
Yeah, tell us a bit about the history of you and Eugene, basically.
Well, I met Eugene in the early 90s. An amazing character on the scene. He plays in a style that makes you want to laugh and enjoy life. He has this wonderful sense of exuberance and happiness in the way he plays. It's very inclusive of people. It's beautiful. It's really amazing. And I saw this in him, and we worked in jazz bands and various things, and there was a lot of hilarity, and he's the most conventional person. So, but we ended up doing this project, Patrick and Eugene, and we managed to come up with all sorts of styles and things, and it worked together. And we released an album together called Postcard from Summer Isle, Patrick and Eugene. It was with Tummy Touch, with my friend Tim Lee. And we did this album, and it had some covers on it, and it had some percussion pieces on it with mad sax, and then it had some new pieces to it. It was an unusual album, but there's this page in Mojo called Buried Treasure, and they do the various artists that haven't been recognised for their great albums or whatever, and they started to do a celebrity one. Paul Heaton chose us from Beautiful South as his Buried Treasure in Mojo, which was incredible, because it was like we went from zero to this guy, who's really renowned, to suddenly recognising. And he said we didn't look like musicians. And I guess we look more like artists, mad artists trying to come up with something. And
Yeah.
And it went down pretty well. And then America liked some of the tunes, and we got a lot of adverts from it. And you know, Eugene was absolutely pivotal. I mean, he'd always grown up with his friend Toby Noel, who's part of his dad was trumpeter, amazing trumpeter. He's part of the Bonzo Dog Band. And he took a lot from that. I took more from the Beatles side of it. So we used to create these sort of inner child type music. And it was, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, cool, man.
That we're in love. The birds and the bees are flying in the trees. The sun's in the sky, just for you and I. And the sky is perfect blue, no cloud could spoil the view. It's a sign from above that shows that we're in love. The birds and the bees.
What's more? What more should we talk about?
Well, I don't
normally do this stuff, so I'm quite well, I'm quite excited to do this. You seem like two very lovely people. This is unusual.
You might see them in about half an hour because we're going to go to the course.
Yeah, I'm going to see. I think it's quite unusual because normally, I mean, I've never really done that many interviews because I'm a bit of a sideliner, really. But if every interview was like this, it'd be easy. But I know from Groove Armada, they just get people who would like. They wouldn't know anything about the band, and they just ask standard questions. They'd be there like,
"You're very
this is cool."
Very humble, which I respect. I mean, you know, when someone's good at something, but they don't show off, they just, you know, they tell the truth and it's like that. That's nice. Not everyone's like that. Some people just want to. So, you know, someone like Axl Rose, it's all about their ego, but you actually you just do what you do. You love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah.
So, actually, Patrick, what music do you like?
What music do I like? I've got an enormous area of music I like. Huge, crossing all sorts of boundaries. And there's nothing I don't really like in any genres. Every genre, there's something I will like. You know.
Yeah.
I haven't explored all of them. There's too many. But
Did you
I know there would be.
Like free jazz or grindcore?
I like huge amounts of jazz. I like all the areas of jazz, from trad to what some people call murder. I like all different types of soul, dance, Latin. I listen to Brazilian. I've got a big thing for Brazilian music. I like singer-songwriter. I like introspective music. I like drone. I like so much. So I can't help you there. Basically, I like too much to.
Tristan will probably ask about death metal now.
I like death metal as well. I love that. It's very cathartic. The pure extreme of the sound. It's just, you know, and it's very impassioned. And it's it's got brightness to it. It's very light in a way. It's very because it's always got that element of lightness and it's very yin and yang. It's incredible actually. I love all that. You can really hear light and dark in death metal. You really can.
Both ends of the extreme.
I've never heard of I've never heard someone in your general field referring to that way. That's really interesting because actually I think it is. I think every genre that's extreme has to have that line dark. It's like free jazz, for example. You got it's weird.
Yeah.
There's still structure to it, right? I guess. And like, you know, you mentioned like murder jazz, like John Zorn. You like John Zorn, for example?
No, I absolutely love it. Love it.
Because John Zorn mixed like grindcore and jazz, didn't he? For example, which is like mental, right?
Absolutely, and it was just a joke off the Far Show, you know, when he was going through different things. He said murder. I thought it was quite funny. A lot of that Fast Show jokes, if you know it's a bit mean, really, because we're quite serious about what we do.
No, the Fast Show was brilliant.
It was brilliant. It took the piss right, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole point. We were very serious, too serious sometimes. Musicians get a little bit too serious sometimes.
Well, this is a good point. So again,
Definitely, mate.
So,
say that again.
talking of the serious element, so here's the next question I have, which is about what really makes you get into music. What was it that like originally sparked your passion for music? Was there something specific, or what was it that got you into it?
I suppose I always loved music. I mean, it sounds like too good to be true. It's like that classic thing. What was your first record? Not in my case, the first record that you bought. The first record that I became really fascinated by. I was 5 years old, and it was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. All the different parts, the emotion. That was for me a massive, massive record because there's so much in there.
Yeah.
Oh, do you mean Night of the Opera, which has that song, or do you mean just the song?
Yeah, I know. I mean that song because it was #1 for 9 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I might have only been 5, but you know,
That's
it was a big thing.
For me, man,
The charts were a big thing back in the 70s, weren't they?
yeah.
So my mum and dad would have been probably whistling it at the breakfast table. And
Mad
stuff.
enough, when I was a kid, I was a mad Gary Glitter fan.
Gary Glitter, yeah.
I love you, love, you love me true, love. I love you, love me, love. Do you know what I mean? And he was great because as a kid,
you've got to
walking
split
around
between
in
the art and
silver
the artist.
Yeah.
You know, the artist could be the most monstrous human being, disgusting person. The art can be really positive.
Yeah.
It's almost like the best part of them.
Yeah.
Like everyone's a mixed bag.
Right. You don't have to like everything about them.
Well, hip hop,
No.
gangster rap and black metal, 2 examples. A lot of the people in those 2 genres, in gangster rap and black metal, a lot of them are not very nice people, but their music, their art.
Yes, because it's the best side of them.
The thing with gangster rap is it's all about having a negative image, you know.
Well, I think art, in a way, is an expression. Everything that's self-expression is always going to be positive because it's like free speech at its best. You know, it's like the real thing. It's the real deal without even the words getting in the way.
In a parallel universe, someone's listening to Hitler's album.
Well, yeah, because Hitler would have a lot to say about, you know, I want a few answers in that.
Yeah,
Definitely would. But, you know, if Hitler made an album, I'd want to hear that and work out what went wrong and what could have been good.
Hitler's album.
The whole point of the arts is that the arts is exploring different psychological states, you know.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And I think you're right in saying there's no one genre that's just bad, and I respect that because a lot of people find it hard to appreciate lots of different stuff and actually genuinely like it. You know what I mean? A lot of people will say they like everything, but really they just like dipping into everything. But you actually appreciate things seriously as well, which is, you know.
Yeah, well, no, I don't like everything. I like the effort, but there's things that I really like. They're the things I connect with. They might not be the best things. They're just the things I connect with. So even then, you can never really, much as I like to say this is shit and this is great and this is average, I can't really be the judge and jury of other people's emotions and other people's soul journey and other people's adventures. It's music is a very important part of our journey. It's the way we connect on another level.
It is
standard meetings that we have during the day, and no one's really can say that this piece is right or this piece is wrong.
Because music isn't everyone's cup of tea, but if it's their cup of tea, you've got to respect the fact that they like that cup of tea.
Apparently, there's about 4% of people who don't like music at all. So really, they absolutely hate music.
We need
and that in a way is affirming, isn't it? Because it's not for everyone. You know, some people are none of it. They don't want people trying to create emotion through sound.
I need to meet these people.
Don't make a noise. I've got enough going on. I don't need that in my life. That is not how I.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way it is.
And you'll find these people in mental homes.
That's not entirely Patrick.
I know.
I'm joking.
This is something I'm really curious to know your opinion on because you've had so many different projects, right? So, what do you think about the idea of sincerity in art? Like, this is the one thing, right? You say that everything's potentially good, right?
Well, everything's authentic. The authenticity.
Well, what I'm saying is basically, you know, you're saying that potentially everything is good for someone, yeah? So, what about when art is completely artificial and therefore more contrived, like when it's created just to make money? Which doesn't
I would see that music acts as a mirror. So if something was completely inauthentic, but somebody else was completely inauthentic and wanted that in a certain way, and that piece of music represented their inauthenticity, that would then be them facing their reality, and then they're given a position to move on. So in other words, if the mirror directly claps, you know, even if it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it gives people something from somewhere else to connect with.
Yeah.
So that piece of music might not be very popular for most people, but the odd person might find that really useful. Not because it's good or bad or different, because it works for them, because it's
on some level,
It's science, it's biology, it's chemistry.
That's very
so. I mean, I'm embarrassed by some of the songs I liked when I was younger, but I know why they did something for me, because you know there was something I needed at the time.
Because they spurred an interest.
You know, it's all very it spurred an interest. Exactly, they made me think in a certain way.
My dad, this is my one. My dad, my dearly departed dad, was Rolf Harris's drummer when he first came over to here. So it was all like Tommy Kangaroo down, sport, Tommy Kangaroo down.
Where was it?
Two little boys out.
Yes.
And actually, all those songs, right, as kind of cheesy as they were, actually, as a kid, I fucking loved them.
I love them. There's nothing wrong with them. I think the whole movement towards the whole paedophile thing has turned against innocence. People have forgotten what's the difference between, you know, people who are actually taking advantage of people and what you would call the inner child and the sensitivity of being young. And I think it's like the birds and the bees with Patrick Eugene, could be so easily misconstrued. And when we had our first big review, it was for the single Birds and the Bees in the Guardian. A guy called Justin Quirk wrote, this reminds me of Sidney Cook, who apparently is a paedophile. I didn't know. I don't fucking want to know that he's a paedophile, but I was told he was through this article. And that it reminds him of Sidney Cook going around abducting children in a circus top.
You're joking. Can you send me a link to that?
Well, Eugene carried it around in his wallet for years after. And it's like, well, you know, I understand the reference points from the time that we're dealing with and the obsession and the news and so forth. But it's what I was trying to say in that, and what we were trying to say, without doubt, was just all about the birds and the bees, particularly the bees, because there's a lack of them right now, and that's causing all sorts of ecological problems. And it was the birds and the bees. It was like, it was almost taking the birds and the bees that you're taught in school. It's a bit seedy. We weren't really actually, in a way, we were really doing that and turning it on its head. But it actually obviously came out the other way or wherever to some people. But it's what you think, right? And there's not a single backlash did I get from any ordinary person or mother or child or anything that ever thought that I was being in any way like they called semen stains and whatever in the, what was that thing?
Captain Pugwash.
Yeah, because they used to joke like that, and I was not into that. I mean, I don't mind that because it's ridiculous and whatever, but I was never trying to play some kind of sarcastic innocence or anything like that, and I just wondered whether some people thought I was because I'm such a lively character.
That song was actually used in adverts.
Yeah, it got used in adverts. They used the lyrics sometimes they didn't. It got used for the Rabbit, which is like the Golf GTI in America, and they used the lyrics and everything. We made a bit of money, which was good.
And
so
Cal Gaze, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got Laughing Cow cheese for another
Laughing
one.
Cow, yeah.
Don't stop. He said, don't stop eating our low-fat cheese. Because it's low fat enough, so you can carry on eating it, which is slightly tempting. But it's the advertising. Well, I had to earn a living, not the highlights of my career, but I was able to keep going, so I can't complain.
Oh yeah, good for you, man. I mean, so you made a career out of playing music, man. Yeah.
Yeah, his whole life has been.
Yeah.
Isn't it, pretty much?
So, man.
Yeah,
good for you.
Really, I respect that. Yeah, that's what we should all do.
It's inspiring,
in the arts, you know. I think this is the thing, obviously, it's hard, obviously, for a lot of people just don't bother pursuing something in the arts because they think, I know, it's hard to make it. But I think the real key is that when you look at the effect the arts have on people, like we were talking about earlier, it's really psychological on a deep level in a way that the people don't even fully understand. According to science right now, we don't really understand. We just have these little experiments, like, you know, playing lots of children or playing bark to plants, and it's sort of helping the plants to grow.
It's I'm with you. I just think that what's happened in the last few months is that it's become deadened, and people are not in tune with each other in the same way. It was bound to happen, but you walk down the street. I'm not quite chatty, you know, so I want to talk to the person in the coffee shop, and you can't do that at the moment because they've got masks on, you've got masks on, or you know, you try to chat, and people are very, very like pulling back. It's nobody's fault, but it's just the way that it is. I'm just thinking, well, in a year's time, when we all come out of this, it probably will take another year. We're all going to start talking to each other again, and we're all going to remember what it's like to. At the moment, it's difficult. So you need to.
Literally, this brings me to my final main question, which is perfect. So, what do you think we can do as artists to help sort of like help the arts industry during this crisis? And what would you like to do personally? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a shame we can't have more connections in pubs or venues with, you know, social distancing, and some really interesting sort of events. You know, they're a bit alternative, and people need to flyer them. But where do they flyer them? They flyer them in pubs, and the pubs are all restricted. So the advertising's sort of restricted as well. So it's very, very difficult, is what I'm saying.
There's a large element of it that's out of our hands.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it takes. It's very difficult. I don't have a solution to that.
We are sort of running events in parks, and
well, this man knows.
This man knows. Sort of running events in parks.
It's a question for him.
It's like illegal raves, so you don't know where you don't.
Yeah, I better clarify.
They're like illegal raves. You don't know where they're going to be until kind of like a couple of days before, and we just set up and do some music because people want to play music, and there's no venues allowing it at the moment.
I'll have to clarify there. Of course, we don't. Obviously, I know the reference thing. But what we're trying to do, obviously, Patrick, is not. We're going to make sure it's above board. Though this is the thing, while still being, you know, pushing the boundaries. You know what I mean? So, for example, on Sunday, we had an open mic event in Kingston, which me and Nick ran, and we got a load of our friends to perform. It was great, right? But because it was the day before they had the 6-person rule, it was okay. It was legal, right? Now we can still do that. We have to have separate groups of 6. So you can have group 6 and another group of 6.
That's all right.
That's
fine. You can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what we're thinking of doing. Like, but I mean, beyond that, do you think there's ways that we as artists can reach out to people and help them feel less alone during this time, and also help other artists? Are there other things? What else do you think we could do? Because you seem like a clever bloke. I think you can come up with something. I'm sure, like, go on.
What would I do? I'd probably get involved in somebody else's thing. That's the worst answer ever, isn't it? I'm saying that I don't feel like I can. What I'm saying, in all honesty, is that I don't feel like I can be a catalyst right now.
No.
Who knows, though?
Nothing's come to mind for me to be a catalyst right now, but I'm well ready to join anybody else who has a catalytic idea. Well, and then I might be really helpful.
Well, because we can't rush the pandemic. The virus is going to do its thing, but we can come up with projects like these over the internet or whatever. People can be recording. I was chatting with Tish and Solomon earlier. Two of our friends. Once this whole thing's gone away and we start opening all the venues again, there's going to be so many bands who have albums that they've recorded during lockdown.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be mental.
Surge, you know.
As long as we keep things alive during the time, because it is hard. I think.
You can't stop creative people from creating.
That's right.
It's just
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think maybe well, the thing is, we of the PAC, like me, Nick, and Lawrence, and the people we know, we are dedicated to this goal of protecting and helping the arts. This is what we're all about, and whatever happens, we will keep on doing that until the arts are okay, until the arts keep better, and we'll keep on doing it anyway, because the arts have to always be improving, right, bit by bit. I'm ready to be of help. Awesome. Well,
I'm just being very honest. I don't feel like I'm going to be the catalyst on that. I'm going to be there.
Oh.
If you want any help, I'll be there. I've got some time in the day to fill.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Lovely.
So
We'll have a jam.
let me know.
Yeah,
You can teach me some percussive.
And
skills.
I would be very interested just to, to see like how you would, improvise on some of the stuff that I do. It makes like jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go then.
Just to make some awesome weird music that I think.
Well, that sounds really exciting. I love that.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, man.
I mean, the thing is, I think this is the thing about the arts is that they are, like you said, there's no. I guess I've always seen there's no limit. Like I think this is the thing. I think people place.
You always have to have a discipline. You can't. It's like the word freedom is free within a domain. That's how I would. That's how I was told by the great Richie Havens, who played at Woodstock, who I worked for. He always said to me, well, the word freedom, and he did the great song Freedom, right? Yeah. Because the helicopters were arriving to let the artist on stage because it was so blocked. He had to play for 4 hours, and he created the song Freedom based on the traditional song, Sometimes I Feel Like I'm a Motherless Child. And he ended up having to do freedom, freedom. But he had to do it for years after that, even though it was an on-the-spot creation. And they insisted on it every gig he did for the next 40 years.
A great song.
From the age of like 28 to 45 years to the age of 73 when he sadly passed away. And his version of what freedom meant was free within a domain. So essentially, you have to have discipline as well.
Yeah. Agreed.
There's never no barriers. It's impossible.
Yeah.
If you go too far out, you go mad, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
having said that, I suppose this is the thing. Like you mentioned John Zorn earlier, and we're going to finish him. But I was going to say you were talking that kind of thing, like when you're mixing grindcore and jazz or something. That is chaotic, right? But I guess to some people that works. So it depends on the audience, I guess. But yeah.
Well, of course, and you create your sound. There is always some branding. You have to go for some style, and people come and they check it out.
Yeah, I fully agree with your point. Like, as a percussionist as well, like when you're playing music, you can improvise a lot, but it's got to be within a certain framework. Like,
there's always a certain framework. Always. There's always some framework. In a way, these people that truly think that you can have some kind of music that's truly improvisational and free, that doesn't really exist. That's a misnomer. It's actually it's an idea, and I love the idea that you can be completely free, but you can never be free truly, because you've always got responsibility, the ability to respond to what's going around you, and you could never really remove yourself from that.
Makes the music better. Yeah.
Well, I think even, for example, like classical has a lot of strict rules, but it's kind of the balance between breaking a lot of those rules often, but still having some structure. Like the most complex classical pieces, or modern ones, they sound insane, but there's still structure. The structure is they've got the form, like sonata form. They've got time signatures, like that. So same with extreme metal or jazz, there is still some form, but you can push the boundaries of that form as far as you want, I guess.
Yeah, I'll tell you a mad story.
I
did a thing for the British Arts Council and Channel 4 called Talking Drums in Ghana.
Oh.
I was filming it, and the premise of the whole thing was that they took percussionists to learn traditional African drums, right? And all the percussionists were a band called Ensemble Bash, right? And they were all brilliant drummers and percussionists. And they went out there to learn and listen to the traditional African rhythms. Now the traditional African rhythms weren't written in.
They weren't written down.
In time signatures.
They're passed on through phonetics.
Yeah, and dance and story.
I had a brilliant Brazilian teacher, and he would show me because he'd written it down a bit, but he used to speak the Brazilian rhythms. out to me to teach to
Because
learn a rhythm, because that was stronger, because that gave you the real sense of the feel of the rhythm.
Yeah.
Which you can't get through just the notes, right?
Yeah, no, of course, because you're just actually playing to a template, which is the trouble with classical music, because actually any classical music we listen to now is an interpretation.
I don't see it like that. There's no trouble with classical music. Classical music is classical music. We have to like all of it, and it's all got different good points, and it's all there. It's all got different things going on. But I know what you mean. If you ask classical music to be more improvisational, I'd question whether it's even what classical music should be doing.
Different.
But it's like classical music is, that's almost what classical music represents to me, is the idea you write it down and anybody can perform it. Whereas you couldn't write down, or would wish to write down, some of the percussion pieces I do, because that would be both impractical and pointless, I think, ultimately. Every music has its say, and it all needs to be respected. And we shouldn't, going back to discipline and freedom again, we shouldn't be going over the lines too much, forcing things to be too different to what they are.
Yeah.
So respect for each other and what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
And breaking the rules, and being a pain in the arse as well.
Yeah. Organised chaos.
That's exactly what I meant earlier. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. I suppose there have to be some rules, but often you can create your own rules. That's the other thing, and that's something I would like to talk about in the future. But I think it's getting a little bit late now, and we need to go to the Cox. But we're going to wrap up in a second. But
Brilliant.
Nick or Lawrence, any more questions?
No, I'm done.
No, that seems like the right finishing time. Man. You know the score.
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
Okay, boys, I'll see you in about 20 minutes, half hour.
Hey, so thank you so much, Patrick. That was really informative and interesting.
Oh, well, that was brilliant. I mean, I hope you've got enough.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Enough nonsense for one night, anyway.
It's a couple of weeks. This will go online, and we'll send it to you, obviously, and share it with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we will see. I'll see you guys at the Finding Cox a bit with Lawrence. We'll be there.
Okay, lovely.
Brilliant.
Cheers. Thank you for watching.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Patrick.
Take care.
Bye.
In a bit. Bye.
Bye.
Naturally harmonize it. Climb into position, synchronize it. Live from outer ghetto, we maximize it. Sound of the Groove Armada.